These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mark Z via PDK. Here is a great article written last August, The Kuwaiti Dinar, a closer look at the world's strongest currency. This talks about the history of Kuwait dinar and why it is so valued. They have many of the same things going for it that Iraq now has. What does that tell us? The Iraqi dinar should be worth the same or higher, in my opinion. Frank 26 question, why would Iraq give the date of January 15th when they have tried to keep the timing of everything else a secret? Frank says they're not telling you that's when they're going to reinstate their currency. They're telling you that's when their currency will go international. Now, the question is, at what rate? Mountain Goat says, in my conversation with my CBI contact on the Wednesday call, we talked about the monetary reform and where I stood. I was told it would take some time, maybe weeks or months even, for the currency swaps to take the needed effort in leveling out the parallel black market rate for the dollar. But my contacts seem very optimistic that the plan now in place could move this rate quicker than expected even. But I was warned not to expect instant success as there is still a period of monitoring it for wide swings. In other words, it needs to be stable. We can see that there has been more progress towards currency reform in the last 12 months than in the 20 years combined. All right, Pimpy says, what's attractive about coming to Iraq to do business is the fact that the currency is so cheap. The labor, production costs, and all are cheap as well. Why do you suppose Nike gets their shoes made in China? Because they pay $5 a month, then bring the shoes over here to America and then sell them for several $100s. Do you see the huge profit margin? That's the same thing with Iraq. The currency is so cheap, the companies would rather do business in Iraq because of the cheap labor. When they increase the exchange rate, it's more costly for labor, products, and production. Do you think they want this low exchange rate? Yes, and they want it much lower. They don't give a shit. All right, Walking Stick says the only thing missing is the lower denoms and the new exchange rate. Everything else is in position. Mark Z via PDK says the news continues to be great. Things look great, and I'm not hearing anything negative. We just have to wait and see what is real. We're getting so many things thrown at us. We don't know what is accurate. Most groups are looking for over the weekend of first or next, and let's just see what happens. Frank 26 Iraq Boots on the Ground Report Firefly says there are many reports coming out from Sudani people indirectly through the CBI telling us the amount of corruption here in Iraq is still staggering. They are finding ways to steal our currency. Frank says it is extremely hard for you guys to deal with your currency when the currency you do have is being stolen. Clear article quote, with the exception of Iraq, the World Bank announces a rise in food sector inflation in the world. Quote, the International Monetary Fund announced a decrease in the inflation rate in Iraq, which is expected to stabilize due to the policy of the Central Bank of Iraq and the impact resulting from raising the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. Bruce via Wiser Now says this time is really an interesting time for us. We are right in the throes of the final days of this. What we're hearing from a major paymaster with Wells that we should receive our notifications within the next 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Monday. Now, they may take this to the very end. Let's see what happens for us over the next 4 days. Militiaman says Al-Alak said he was going to delete the zeros, the project to delete the zeros off the exchange rate. What did al-Sadani say? He said the dinar would be stronger than the dollar. What did Salih say? He said we are going to have a major announcement. We're going to see if all three of those guys are telling the truth or not, and I have a feeling they are. Pimpy says, don't get me wrong, they're going in the right direction. They're taking the right steps to strengthen their economy, to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. But if you're thinking this is going to happen overnight, you're sadly mistaken. The Iraqi dinar, in my opinion, is going to go up in increments. I still believe you're going to see an increase in the first quarter of this year. Frank 26 question, do you feel the dong will go with the dinar? Frank says, I believe the dong is still a little bit behind the race of a monetary reform. I believe Vietnam has a lot of issues with China. I believe Vietnam dong has great potential. Unfortunately, it is being shackled, abused by the banking policies that China continue to use. And lastly, Mark Zevia, PDK Sudani, we are proceeding in the wheel of construction reconstruction and construction despite the challenges facing us. Sudani says they are meeting and fulfilling their promises to the Iraqi people. Part of the wheel of construction is the monetary reform and the white papers, making the dinar stronger and more valuable.